This is a short demo of a prototype for creating relationship maps from textual input. I've been calling it CLD.ai, but it doesn't really have a name at this point. As I said, it's just a prototype. But if I give it a textual description, like if GDP is a measure of the economy, then what relationships are responsible for GDP development and which are responsible for restricting GDP development? And I can go ahead and submit this. And it usually takes a minute or a minute and a half to generate it, but I already generated it so that you don't have to wait for me mumble around while it's generating. But what it produces is this relationship map. And for each of the relationships, it also produces a description of the relationship itself so that you can see that imports decrease GDP and government spending increases and exports increase and consumer spending increases. And you can look at all of the relationships. Now, once you generate it, you can save it locally. You can save it as a CSV file that you can reload, or you can save it as a JSON file that you can import into Kumu. After you look at the relationship map, it'll also create an explanation of the entire model for you if you ask it to, which is long and informative, sometimes useful, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just best to go through and read the relationships. Now, what I like about it is that what it tries to do is figure out what are the most relevant relationships and do that as opposed to giving you 1,000 elements to begin with and let you figure out which aspect of the model that you want to elaborate. Now, I've already done that for a couple of them. So if I come up here and say, I really want to elaborate this based upon government spending, I could say, okay, tell it. Well, I have a number of options here. Used to be that about 1 out of 10 relationships were backwards, though the descriptions were right, so they included this option for changing the direction edges. I can expand around a node. I can expand to include a wider context, find a causal path between two nodes, self-reflect and update, or provide custom instructions, or for whatever happens to be on my mind. But if I told it that I wanted to expand around a node, and I told it that I wanted to expand around government spending, I could submit this and it would go ahead and produce this model, which is getting far more complex, and it takes government spending and looks at other things that it might influence within the environment. So you go through and you look at the pieces and figure out which ones seem to make sense and which ones don't, and where is it? Government spending. It's here someplace. Right here, government spending. So there's a lot more influences based on government spending than there were before, and there are a lot more loops in the model. And you can ask it to show you all of the feedback loops, and you can look at them one at a time, and you can ask it to provide you a description of each individual loop. It also understands a number of the archetypes so that you could look at archetypes within the structure. And then from here, you might say, well, okay, I could elaborate on some other element, but this is already a little tough to comprehend. So let me go back up and reload the initial GDP relationship model and tell it that I want to elaborate it around what's EQ? Education quality. And I can load that and look at the implications of improving education quality and see what influences it might have on the rest of the elements of the model. And from there, I can do all the same. I can look at the feedback loops and look at the descriptions of the loops, whatever. I might want to look at going back to the initial GDP model and evolve it around, what was this? This was PES. Perceived economic stability, and I could load that. And here is the same model evolved around perceived economic stability. Now, the thing is, for any person who blindly accepts what comes out of an LLM, they're an idiot. And the utility of something such as this is to look at what comes out of it and figure out, with a lot of critical thinking, the extent to which it might inform what one already understands, and reject those things that don't make any sense. The other thing that I tried when I did this is I thought that there was probably a relationship between technological innovation, where's that? Here, and business cost. So I simply told it to look for, I came up here and said, find a causal path between two nodes, and I told it technological innovation and business cost, and this is what it produced for me, adding from technological innovation to operational efficiency to business cost, and some other aspect of possible relationships to look at. So, as I said, this is a prototype. Everyone that I've demoed it to over the last 6 months has salivated over it the first thing as soon as they saw it, though the difficulty is everybody wants it for free, and the developers that did the prototype can't afford to turn it into an application for free, so we're still trying to figure out what the hell to do with it. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. So take care. Bye.